It's Leslie from the United States who has multiple sclerosis. Welcome, Leslie.
Hi, Linda.
Could you tell me when you first noticed MS symptoms?
I am 64 now, and when I was about 30 years old, I was out jogging one day in Florida, and I lost vision, half vision in one eye. And I went to the University of Florida Medical School, and they started testing me and said that it could possibly be MS. I got the vision back, and I told them I didn't want the diagnosis of MS on my insurance, and so to not continue with the test. And I also asked what they could do for me, and that was 34 years ago, and they really didn't have any drugs at that time or any suggestions of things to do. And so I just kind of changed my diet some, added some flax oil, and eating more vegetables, and then just totally put it out of my head. I just didn't want it to be there. And I did not, and even looking back, I don't think I did have any symptoms again until a year and a half ago. And again, I was out running, and my skin on my legs felt like it was not part of my body. It was just all of a sudden. And I came back home, and within about 3 days, I was totally paralyzed from the waist down. My husband took me to the emergency room, and we really didn't even realize what it was at the moment. And so, of course, I was assigned a neurologist, and this neurologist did MRIs on me for several hours that day, and finally at 11 o'clock at night he came into my hospital room and said, "You have MS and you have lesions all over your spine." And he said, so he put me on steroids, heavy dose steroids for 5 days. And then I was in the hospital for a month in the physical therapy ward, and they retaught me how to walk. I had lost control of every function I had below the waist, and they taught me how to walk. And after a month, I walked out of the hospital. It wasn't easy, but I walked out with a walker. And he suggested, the neurologist, who was very traditional, suggested that I should go on Copaxone. And he sent me home with a beautiful packet of information and a video. And my husband and I watched the video, read the information, and they sent in a nurse, Copaxone did, to train me how to give myself shots. But somehow it did not resonate with me. The information didn't, if I tracked it really well, I thought that the statistics, which I'm a real statistics person, weren't good enough for what I was dealing with. I didn't like their statistics on their success rate for myself. Mm-hmm. And so after a month on these shots and going into Tremors every single day and having a $10,000 deductible insurance here in the United States, knowing that I was going to be paying $2,500 a month for this drug, I called a friend who was an MD, and he was into some alternative things, and I said, "I can't handle this drug for my MS. What am I going to do?" And he suggested that my husband and I, read on the internet about LDN. And this was a Sunday afternoon that he actually called me and suggested we read about LDN. And we read about it the rest of the day, and I called him back on Monday morning, this MD friend, and said, "I want a script for this LDN." And I took that Copaxone that I had, all the supply I had, all the needles, all that, and just burned them. That was out of my life. And the LDN arrived actually from Skip's Pharmacy in Boca Raton, Florida, on that Friday, and I was going in every day for PT still, every single day. And so Friday night of that week, I started LDN. And on Monday, when I went in for my physical therapy, therefore I'd taken LDN for 3 nights, I went in on Monday for physical therapy, and my physical therapist said, "Oh my God, what has happened to you since Friday? You are so much better." And, I said, "I've started this drug called LDN." And she said, "Oh, I've heard of that." And so I just progressed very rapidly, very, very rapidly, much better. And, of course, in a month I was to go back to the neurologist, my traditional neurologist from the hospital, and have him see me. And I walked into his office without the walker, hopped up on the examining table, and he asked me what in the world I had done. And I told him I had stopped Copaxone and started LDN. And